Like what you heard?
If so,
Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm starting not to like what I heard. Okay, you're ready?
all right,
I'm
here we
sorry.
go.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Yep. Hey everybody, Tim,
And SeMonne Campbell.
and we're going to talk to you about something that's critical in relationships. What do you do in the face of a setback? And I know we don't like getting setback, and a setback is simply this: you set a goal, and you don't reach the goal. So what you expect to happen didn't happen. It could be discouraging for you. It could be discouraging in so many facets in the relationship, and it actually gives you a perspective in the relationship. Am I moving forward or am I not moving forward?
Right, and you know, sometimes when you're in a relationship, you feel like you're stuck. You know,
Yeah.
like I expect that we're gonna be here. We're not gonna do this. You know, this changed, that changed, but then you find yourself right back in the same place.
Yeah, and that it's like you're going through the motions.
Right.
So why are we what are we accomplishing in the relationship?
Right.
Why aren't we moving forward? And I can tell you that a setback is not a bad thing. You know, some places that you're trying to get to, you don't need to go. You may not be prepared for it.
Right.
And so that setback is a protection mechanism for the relationship, because you're now being guided by life.
Right.
And
And it's discouraging. You know how many times we've been discouraged, in our relationship? Like
yeah.
we have these high expectations, or we set these goals, and,
Yeah.
then, I get frustrated and I get angry at you,
Yeah,
Like-
and it could cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of issues in the relationship if you don't set the right perspective
right.
on what's going on. Why are these things going on? Why are we not moving forward? That can be difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
So
you feel defeated.
right. But what we've learned since we've been together is that every relationship needs a setback.
Right.
Every relationship needs a setback. We grow and we advance in a relationship, and we get stronger through setbacks. It's not our wins that define us; it's our losses that define us.
I remember a lot of times, when we went through some challenges in our life, like, one instance when some years ago we went through a challenge, and you just came out and you kind of like was like, look, babe, we're going to go through this and we're going to make it, I needed that, what I'm saying? Because I got so stuck in the situation or what the challenge was, I couldn't see, beyond that.
Right.
But I was happy that you did that for me,
Yeah, and you don't know how strong you are until you're faced with challenges,
Right.
until you're faced with disappointments. A disappointment will tell you a lot versus a victory. A victory doesn't give you no room to reflect and to adjust. A disappointment has the relationship at a point where it says, what can we do different now?
Right. And then it also shows you, for them times when you're in your relationship where you feeling like, oh, we're not meant to be together, or, just the doubtful things that you go through.
Yeah.
But then you have those times, those memories, like, man, we've been through this together, we've been through that together, and I know he got my back, and I know he loves me,
Right,
And
right.
you hold on to that, like,
Yeah. That's cool. It gives you that fight in the relationship.
Right.
It gives you that courage in the relationship to say, we've been through that before. We've been
Right.
set back before, and we came up out of it.
Right.
And so if we can come up out of that, what else can we come up out of?
Mm-hmm.
And so every relationship needs a setback, because every relationship needs to understand that there's some bigger challenges coming around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can defeat this, if you can get through this moment, then you can get through the next moment.
Right. And then you can tell other people, like, I know y'all gonna be all right. Y'all gonna make it. We made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
encouraging, and then you can't tell somebody something if you ain't been through, through
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah. So check this out. This is why every relationship needs a setback, okay? The number one reason why a relationship needs a setback is that a relationship, when two couples get together, they grow, right? And so those growth moments, the setback, it becomes a learning opportunity, right? It becomes a teaching moment where the two couples can say, man, we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, because in a relationship, you get to where you get to by the actions that you do.
Right.
So if you hit a roadblock, or you get set back, or things didn't work out the way you needed it to work out, Don't be discouraged by that. Take it as a learning opportunity, an opportunity for you to learn. You touched a stove when it was hot, and you learn not to touch it again. You learn not to go down that road again. And that's the same thing a setback does in a relationship. You know not to go down a certain road when you bump your head, when you get set back, when something didn't happen. And so now you can reflect and have corrective action and start to think about what you can do next time so that you won't go down that same road.
Oh, and I was going to add on there, and it teaches you how to, it teaches you, it's a teaching moment, but it's also a teaching moment for togetherness.
Yeah.
You know, you in life, you're used to learning by yourself, and then you get in a relationship, you have to learn together. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Instead of you do your thing, I do my thing. Let's, do it together.
Yeah. And so it brings you closer together in
Right.
that teaching moment. Like, people don't learn when two couples get together, they don't know how to love each other. And so those setbacks shakes up the relationship to where you have to really uncover and work through some things together rather than apart. You know, it's like, I didn't appreciate this before, but it was those setbacks in our relationship where we would fall back. It seems like we would go four spots ahead to go 10 spots back. Right. And in those 10 spots back, I'm like, man, I thought we were making progress. Now here we are again.
Right.
And those will be the times where I'll be like, man, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
That question right there, what am I doing wrong, gives me an opportunity to get better.
Right.
If you didn't have that setback, you wouldn't have that opportunity to get better.
Right.
And so let's give another reason. This is why your relationship needs setbacks. Number 2 is the reason why your relationship needs a setback is the setbacks become your guide. You know, it's like you're going down a windy path, and in those paths, that setback is like a guardrail to let you know that the road doesn't go this way, or the road doesn't go that way. And in that guide piece, every setback is leading you somewhere. Your relationship, and I believe this sincerely, your relationship needs to be somewhere. It was designed, put together, so that both of you can end up in this certain place. We call it destiny. You don't know how to get there. There's no map on how you can get there. But the way that you get there is through the setbacks. It's through the closed doors.
Right.
It's through the things that should have happened, didn't happen. All of that is called destiny. It's leading you to a certain spot that your relationship should be. If you would have went down that road, it would have killed you, or you would have been divorced. But the reason why you're together is because some doors were shut,
Right.
some doors were open. So those setbacks become guides.
Right. And I had an example in my head. Like, I remember I was getting on Tim because I'm like, babe, just go buy a new truck. Like, you got the money. But Tim was like, I don't want a payment, so
Right.
he just ride around in what he got. But he had enough to do it and get a payment, but he wouldn't do it. And when I said that, like 6-7 months ago or something, and then all of a sudden he got blessed with a truck,
Yeah.
But it's like at the time, you don't see
Yeah.
what could happen if you hold on. But like, being able to work together,
Right.
Instead of looking at a situation like, okay, your car is, is getting old, you're having these
Yeah.
problems, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't like that. and so I was like, well, I'll ride this car. And then when the car quit on me, I'm like stuck.
Right.
And that was a setback for me. It's like that wasn't a part of the plan.
Right.
But it led me to a blessing. It led me
did.
to another
It did.
spot where I was able to get a better car.
Right.
And so it appreciate that guide. There's certain things that God wants to bless your relationship with, that if you would just accept some of the losses, to say that, man, that door was closed for a reason.
Right.
It can help us get to somewhere else.
Right.
And then number 3, and I like number 3 when we came up with this one, because we evaluate what we've been through in our relationship and the setbacks that we had, and our greatest opportunity came out of a setback. Some of our greatest opportunities came at our worst moments, and so that's another reason why your relationship needs a setback, because setbacks create opportunity. It helps you discover things that you normally wouldn't discover in the relationship. And so in that discovery moment, you'll see some things and some opportunities there that if things were hunky-dory, if things were going the way that it should have been going, then you wouldn't have noticed that opportunity.
Right. I was going to say, like me, I was an opportunity for you in the beginning, if you wouldn't have noticed it, then you wouldn't
Well,
have
let's look
it.
at that. So if I was in a relationship before you,
Right.
there are certain things that had to be set back in that relationship in order for me to discover you.
Right.
And that process still goes on today. Is that there's certain nuggets, certain gems of the relationship that hasn't been discovered, and until things are shooken up, until things are uncovered, you will never know what kind of gems your relationship has.
Right.
And so your biggest struggle, you know, one of the worst places that we've been is when we went through that affair piece.
Right.
And there was an affair in our relationship, and there was a lot of cheating going on and whatnot.
Yeah.
In that was a setback to our relationship. We wasn't expecting that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It happened, and we wasn't expecting it, and it was something that was prolonged.
Right.
And a lot of times you hear couples be like, "Well, if I heard that, I'm out," you know.
Right.
But that became one of the biggest turning points in our relationship, where we drew that much closer together.
Right.
Because we were able to work through the setback. It created an opportunity for us to start talking again, because we wasn't talking at the time.
Right.
It created an opportunity for us to get intimate again, because we weren't intimate at the time. And I'm not saying go out, cheat, and do that. What I am saying is the principle is still in effect, that your greatest opportunity is going to come out of your greatest struggle.
Right.
So don't toss out your struggle, and that's real. I mean, don't toss out your struggle because your blessing is right around the corner.
Right.
That there's some gems in your relationship that can't happen until you get that disappointment.
Right. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So I'm like Discovery Channel when things start going wrong. I'm like, okay, what am I looking for here?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the opportunity here for us to get better? And I think we talked about the last point. The reason why your marriage needs a setback is that it builds strong bonds.
Right. And that one for me, I love that one. That's the best one because, you know, it took me a long time to understand Tim loved me. Even after we got married, I still was questioning, does he love me? I don't know why, but it was. But, you know, after all these years and all the things we've been through, that was enough for me. You know, the marriage didn't do it. It's all of the challenges we had, and we're still together, and he still fights with me, not against me, but with me. And, you know, that to me, that's love.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have discovered that if everything was fine.
Right.
You know, because we get a lot of couples saying, you just don't understand what's going on in our relationship. And I'm like, I do understand. Greatness is going on.
Right.
Because there is no greatness born out of no struggle.
Right.
Every war, we have our freedom in America to a certain extent based off of a great struggle, based off of wars, based off of battles that were fought that gives us this liberty that we have. Right. You know, even with our faith, we have a relationship with God based out of a struggle. Right? Even with our and that's the same, we take that into our relationship. Every great thing that you have is going to come out of a struggle. You know, if you look at a pregnancy, a woman's giving birth goes through a lot of pain, but you go through a lot of pain to give birth to life, right? It's born out of a struggle. So your relationship, don't cast this out. Your relationship needs that struggle if you're going to make it to an amazing type relationship. All right. So real quick, we're going to give you a couple things. If you feel like, if you're in a relationship and you feel like you go 3 steps forward and take 10 steps back, we want to encourage you to say you're on the right track. That's normal, right? That's normal. You're not going to find a relationship where that's not present, and if it's not present, then you're in the wrong relationship, right? You're going to go through some setbacks. You're going to take 3 steps forward, you're going to go 4 steps back, and then you're going to go ahead, and it's going to be like that for a while. So while that's going, if that's normal, and while that's going on, you need to be able to cope in that moment where you're feeling discouraged, where you're feeling like you're not getting everything that you need to get out of the relationship. You need to be encouraged, right? So we're going to give you a couple things, a couple ways to look at the situation differently and change your perspective on how you've been looking at setbacks.
And so one of them would be is to reflect. You know, sit back and think about, how did I get here, and why am I here? You know, and try to look at it in a positive manner. Like, it might seem like it's something heavy, but look at it and actually look at it. Is it really that bad? You know, Is it something you can work through, you know? And
yeah, and take this into consideration hard, because the difference in your relationship is you. It's not your spouse, it's you. You got to change. And the only way that you know to change is through this setback. So this reflective thought where you sit back and say, how can I be better? How can I be greater? I know that this weight is upon me, but it's up to me. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to me. Just think about if both couples were saying it's up to me. I'm going to carry the ball. I'm going to take the rock. How amazing that relationship would be. I'm going to take care of me and what I got to do. I'm not going to worry about what you got to do. I'm going to try to be strong for the both of us, right? And you're doing the same thing. And that makes for an amazing relationship. But I can't get to that point if I'm not reflecting. Right. Why do I do the things that I'm doing? How did I get here? The results show me the actions that I took. The actions that I took shows me my thought process. So something's got to change if I keep ending up in that bad spot. If I keep getting set back, something has to change in me. So this is a reflective moment now. And so it's not time to complain. It's not time to throw a fit. But it's time for you to sit down and say, man, you know, what do I got to do to be better? And in that is growth. So number one, reflect. And then number two, in that reflection, evaluate your strategy together. Like you both got to the place that you got to, and the disappointment happened together. Right. It wasn't just one. There's two in the relationship. You both got there together. So evaluate the strategy that was used. And if that strategy doesn't get you to where you need to get to, then revamp, pivot, go another route, create a different strategy.
Right. And I wanted to add on to that too. For someone like me, sometimes I have to reflect by myself just for a moment, but then I come back to Tim and evaluate, because I want to make sure my mind is right. You know, he's always the more positive one. So when I sit down with him, I want to be on one accord with him. So sometimes it's okay if you're going to reflect by yourself, but make sure you come back together, you know.
And that's a level of trust in the relationship, that I trust your opinion. Right. I trust what your thought process. I'm going to include you on the decision making. When we develop a strategy, it's a joint strategy. Because I don't want to be going off this way, you go off that way, and we end up in two separate places. It's not going to work. So that strategy doesn't work. Let's get a new strategy and let's create that strategy together. Right.
And the next one was
accept it and move forward.
A little hard sometimes. I know. You know, I'm the one that always want to drag on something with us. You know, until like, babe, just let it go. You know.
I had a moment one time. The kids were real small. The kids was real little, and there was a dead bird in our driveway. And the kids, were very young, and they circled around the bird, and they're like, "Ugh, Daddy, ugh, that's just nasty," and it was like, it's grossing me up. I'm gonna throw up, and I was like, why don't you just walk away from it? Like, why do you got to sit there and stare at the dead bird? Right. But that's a lot of times that's what we do in our relationships, is that we don't move on, we don't accept what's going on. We don't move forward. We don't move past it. And so we drag this on for weeks and weeks and weeks. This minor setback where an event that took a couple seconds happened, but I have years and years to live, and I feel those years full of bitterness based off of this small issue that happened in my life, and carry that on. Right. Instead of doing that, we ask you to accept it. It helped us out when we were together. And to move past situations, to accept it and move forward. And so that's another way to cope with, is that I need to get past this as quick as possible. After I reflect, after I create a new strategy, it's time to forgive and move forward. Like, I'm not going to sit there. Don't sit there. Start moving. That's the quickest way to get past something, is to start moving past it. So accept what happened. You can't change it, so start moving forward. Right? And so those are 3 strategies to once you need setbacks. It's going to happen. Your greatest setback may not have happened yet, right? So you got to prepare yourself for it. The strength of your relationship, the strength of your marriage, lies in your ability to get past a setback and not allow those setbacks to define your relationship. But you define your relationship by the steps that you take to move forward and through those setbacks.
I know, as well said, honey.
All right. So do us a favor. if you like what you heard today, share this with a friend. You may not understand or you may not need it right now, but somebody does need it. And the time to buy a map is before you enter into the forest, before you take the journey. So these tips that we're giving you, you may not be there yet, but you'll get there. So it's better to buy in right now. But the way you can do that is to share, to help us out. Share this with your friends and family. You can also tell them just to go to Google, type in IWillWillU, and you will get our site. Go to our site, log in to the email for updates.
And that's it.
That good?
Yes, that's good.
All right. Till next time.